Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, September 5th. We continue through the week after markets ended mixed, but close. Yesterday, the Dow was the day's only winner, gaining 38 points or 0.09%. The S&P 500 gave up 8 points or 0.16%. The Nasdaq shed 52 points or 0.3%. Bill, let's get into Thursday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are actually lower. We're down 0.06%, not significantly. We were higher. We were up, 0.05% or 0. Or a tenth of percent higher. Now we're going a little lower because we're getting closer to those unemployment, to the employment data reports. And, there's nervousness that creeps in when you get that. So, I'm not expecting any big moves, right before those reports are released. But, that's the key, element today is the two employment data reports coming out this morning. On the earnings front, you got Broadcom, AVGO. They're going to be releasing this afternoon after the bell. That's going to be the big one. I see Verizon's reaffirming its 2024 guidance. You know why? Because they just did a deal. They did a $20 billion deal to take over Frontier Communications. Now, they spun off Frontier Communications like 15 years ago. It was never a good deal because Frontier Communications, what they did is they owned all the dedicated lines that Verizon did because Verizon wants to be a cell phone carrier. So they got rid of all the landline, the dedicated lines and sold it to Frontier Communications, which is a dying business. But now they're buying them back over. Interesting. What else was you? Oh, Johnson & Johnson, they appear to have settled that talcum powder lawsuit by raising their settlement offer by $1 billion. Jeep's parent, Stellantis, they paused productions of two of their top-selling models as the U.S. company is dealing with high inventory levels. AstraZeneca, ticker AZN, China's detaining some AstraZeneca employees in a drug and data probe. Interesting. I'm kind of taking a look at what's happening overseas this morning. We're looking over at Europe, and European markets are mixed. No question about that. We're looking at Germany. Germany's higher by 27 points or 0.15%. The FTSE's lower by 8 points or 0.11%. The CAC is lower by 39 points or 0.53%. In France, you're seeing weakness in the luxury stocks. That shouldn't be too surprising. London, they had their construction data, which indicated, that their business activity is still pretty solid. The construction PMI came in at 53.6, which is a pretty good number, but it was still below forecast, but positive. So that's still a good number. In Germany, listen, factory orders grew by 2.9% in July. That beat expectations of a drop of 1.5%. So, factory orders, Germany, very positive. Good to see. Then we're looking over last night in Asia, and the Nikkei fell 390 points or 1.05%. Listen, it's all about the yen in China. The yen is stabilizing, it's strengthened. That's a negative for equities. They had some data on real wages, which showed an increase for the second straight month, which is viewed kind of as a positive factor for the Bank of Japan and its efforts to raise interest rates. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 13 points. It was kind of flat, down 0.07%. What can I say? The property sector really moved higher, in Hong Kong. And the reason why is, and we also saw, property sector move higher in China too, in Shanghai. But China is said to be considering cutting interest rates on $5.3 trillion worth of mortgages to shore up their property sector. That's kind of positive. It's stimulus. The Shanghai market, they actually eked out a gain of a little over 4 points, 4.04. That's 0.14%. What can I say? The insurance stocks were higher, property stocks were higher, energy stocks fell in the Shanghai. But you're looking at oil. We're keeping an eye on oil this morning. Oil It's trading slightly higher. You got WTI at $69.42 a barrel. Brent is at $73.08 a barrel. It's up a little bit. It was up more. I mean, Brent, WTI was trading at $70 a barrel earlier, but now it's back down to 69.46. So, what's causing the move higher? Well, those estimates from the API, American Petroleum Institute, came in last night after the bell, and they indicated that stockpiles fell by 7.4 million barrels last week. So, that's viewed as bullish for oil prices. So it's helping oil prices a little bit. It's the end of the summer driving season. The stockpiles aren't going to be falling due to elevated driving in the U.S. Anymore. So we got to keep that in mind. But oil trading a little higher this morning. We'll see if those gains are able to continue. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning update, Emily.
Bill, you pointed out that a key element this morning is that jobs data that's on tap. And in just a moment, we're going to get to all the day's economic events. But before we get there, earnings action still very much in play today. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
We're talking Casey General Stores, ticker CASY. They beat by 32 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. That stock's down 0.71% this morning. HPE, Henry Paul Edward, Hewlett Packard, they beat by 3 cents on higher revenue. Copart, ticker CPRT, they missed by 3 cents on lower revenue. Look at Copart, it's down 5.33% this morning. Upcoming, we got Smartsheet, SMRT. They're coming out after the bell today. SMAR, excuse me. Their EPS is 29 cents. Expected move is 10.04%. We get DocuSign, ticker DOCU, David Oscar Charlie Uncle. Their EPS is 80 cents. Expected move is 8.85%. Guidewire, ticker GWRE, Grace William Richard Edward. Their EPS is 52 cents. Expected move is 7.76%. And Broadcom, ticker AVGO, Apple Victor Grace Oscar. Their EPS is $1.20. Expected move is around 8.23%, Emily.
Bill, now to the day's economic events. Again, employment data is really where the focus is. So give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Yeah, you got the economic data, specifically the employment data that's really in focus this morning. This morning at 8:15 a.m., we're going to get the ADP employment report. Then at 8:30 a.m., we're going to get the jobless claims. At 10 a.m., we get the ISM services sector, the PMI services sector index. And then at 11 a.m., which is a half hour later and 1 day later, we're going to get the EIA oil stockpiles report. Quick note on the jobless claims. They're expected to come in, the figure's expected to come in at 229K, which is slightly below last week's 231K number. 2,000K lower, not significant, but we'll have to wait and see if that happens. The ADP report, that's expecting the increase to 140,000 from July's number 122,000. So that could be interesting. It could be offsetting. But again, we'll have to wait and see until when those data come out later this morning, Emily.
We will wait and see to look at that data, but you'll be one of the first to see it when it does come out using your NewsWare's, setting up those economic alerts. So when that information hits the tape, you'll gather it right away. Also, with those earnings releases, you're on top of all of that. You're also on top of other types of news. Day in and day out, you're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts. You're able to watch trends on the trading day by grouping stocks together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I got 15 Dow stocks higher, 12 lower, the rest unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Tesla's showing some nice gains. Amazon's showing some nice gains. The other FANG stocks are just slightly lower. Nothing significant. They're kind of flat to lower is how I would call them. We're talking about some of the news behind the tape, like Apple. I see a note on Bank of America. They're coming out and they're feeling that this new software-driven upgrade cycle for Apple's iPhones is going to really be beneficial to them and their AI-inspired iPhones. I mean, we'll see. Apple's got that product event next week. So, this is when we're really going to find out what these new phones are capable of. Amazon, ticker AMZN, they released Claude AI for big business. Google, they unveiled their new Android 15 features and they're going to roll out to Pixel later this year. There's also another report that Qualcomm, Google, and Samsung are working together on a version of mixed reality glasses. That could be something. Tesla, Tesla's up, 2.68% this morning. They came out and they said that they're going to be releasing fully self-driving vehicles in China and Europe early next year. Wow, that's a big move. That's why you're seeing the stock move higher this morning. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J. They raised their settlement offer by $1 billion to roughly $9 billion to reach a settlement for that talcum powder lawsuit. That's positive news for Johnson & Johnson. Stock is unchanged this morning, but it looks to open up higher. Chevron, ticker CVS, Charlie Victor Sam, they came out and stated to U.S. officials that it's critical that they be allowed to continue its oil operations in Venezuela. I mean, they're going to try and shut it down, but, they made investments there. You can't be dangling the carrot and they then taken away from them. So, the Chevron's stating its case. Verizon, ticker VZ, listen, this is a $20 billion deal. They're doing it at $38.50 a share when they're going to be acquiring Frontier Communications. We'll see. I don't think Frontier Communications is a great asset, but, maybe Verizon knows something I don't know. Other merger news, we're talking U.S. Steel, ticker X. Biden is set to halt U.S. Steel sale amid threats of plant closings. He's going to avoid it. He doesn't. He's anti big government, and he wants this thing to stay American owned. The only other bidder is Cleveland Cliffs. I don't think that they're going to be coming to the table to save them unless the price is extra cheap. Ticker MODG, Michael Oscar, David Grace, Topgolf and Callaway. They plan to separate into two independent companies. Interesting. What else? Guidance news, HP Enterprises, ticker HPE, they raised their 2024 EPS view to $1.92 to $1.97. Street estimates $1.97. That's good. SIAC, ticker SAIC, they raised their full year 2024 EPS to $8.10 to $8.30. Street estimate is $8.07. That's a nice uptick. I gotta like that. NEO, ticker NIO, they see Q3 revenue coming in $22.63 billion to $2.71 billion. Street estimate had it at $2.54 billion. Nice. That's why NEO's up 4.48% this morning. JetBlue, ticker JBLU, they had a good summer travel demand, and now they expect a Q3 to range between 2.5% decline to a 1% increase year over year. So that's positive. You gotta like that. JetBlue is seems to be getting their act together. What else do we have here? We got shareholders meetings. We got Lilly, ticker LLY. They're going to be doing a presentation this morning at the Morgan Stanley Healthcare Conference. Amgen, ticker AMGN, they're going to be presented at the Wells Fargo conference today. Different conference. I think the Amgen's one starting at 9:30 this morning. In terms of buyback news, VRNT, Victor, Richard, Nancy, Tom, Vernet, they authorized a $200 million stock repurchasing plan late yesterday. In terms of catalyst calls, we're talking CME, Charlie Michael Edwards, CME Group. Citibank opens up a 90-day upside catalyst watch on the stock. Interesting, but that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
We got a potential big market move coming over today, with these employment reports, but we'll have to wait and see when they come out. But I'm going with Avago, Broadcom, AVGO, Apple, Victor, Grace, Oscar. I mean, earnings are due out after the bell. EPS is $1.20. Expected move 6.85%. Okay, that's about right. Call volume 92,531 versus put volume 69,765. Interesting. Open interest 1,276,094 versus 1,106,885. Both are positive. Gotta like to see that. Major brokers are positive in the stock. They're raising price targets. Good to see. last quarter they delivered a beat and they raised guidance. So, that's a good headwind going into today. But I gotta tell you, I gotta get in it. I gotta like call a price and account for the employment data. So, listen, I'll say, under 152. I'm going to say, 150 to 152, somewhere in that range. When this thing moves, it's going to move big. So, I'm just shooting for 1%. This market is too choppy. When you get those 1% gains, you got to take them and be happy with them. So I do think we'll see some gains in Broadcom today, ticker AVGO, Apple, Victor, Grace, Oscar, and that's my pick of the day, Emily.
Bill, ahead of that employment data, employing those strategic decisions and data points there, something that you did yesterday ahead of earnings, again, in a choppy market, seeing if you can grab that 1%. And coming up, we will do a recap on that pick of the day. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
mRNA, Michael Richard Nancy, Apple, Moderna, they received a positive opinion from Europe's healthcare agency on their latest COVID-19 vaccine. Jazz Pharmaceutical, their drug showed good progress in epilepsy presentations, apparently. Uber, ticker UBR, Uber and Turo partner to bring Turo vehicles to Uber Rent. I don't know what Uber vehicles are. I got to figure that out. Moody's, ticker MCO, they acquired an insurance analytics firm. Disney, that data leak that they had earlier this year, and the data wasn't that sensitive, but there's some news out on the data leak that happened to Disney earlier this year. This is on PDD, Paul David. U.S. regulators want to probe Shine and Temu for consumer safety violations. Interesting. A Japanese minister and prime minister candidate are, rattling the cage, saying governments should not intervene in deals arbitrarily, talking about the U.S. steel takeover by Nippon. Honeywell, ticker HON, they named a new CFO. Robinhood, a cryptocurrency platform run by the company, will have to pay $3.9 million to settle claims it failed to let customers withdraw cryptocurrency from their accounts from 2018 to 2022. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get into trading today, awaiting that jobs data, we will do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Hewlett-Packard, ticker HP. As you told us during your earnings rundown, the company did report earnings yesterday after the bell. They reported a Q3 EPS of 50 cents, ahead of the consensus estimates of 47 cents. They reported Q3 revenue of $7.71 billion. The consensus there had been $7.67 billion. During your NewsWare alerts, you did give us that bump in their guidance, and they're basing that on a strong AI infrastructure demand. Now, it's a pretty good report, and you were looking for that 1%, as we said, to walk away in the choppy market, take that gain when you see it. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
Listen, I made money in it. The stock opened up at $18.93. And I was like, I want to get in a little lower than that. And, and it fell down, and I was able to get in at $18.62. And then, it closed out at $18.77. But then in the aftermarket, it popped. It popped up to $18.90. And I had a decision to make. Do I want to hold on to this thing? And is it worth the risk of holding on to HPE when I got the 1%? I said, no way. I sold out. I made my 1%. I walked away. I'm happy I did. Stock's trading a little lower this morning, even though the earnings were good. But, sometimes that happens. But, HPE was a winner for me yesterday. I made my 1%. I got in, at a good price. And I walked away right before the earnings came out in the aftermarket and made my money. So I was happy, Emily.
Taking that gain when you see it, something you told us you will do today. With your pick of the day. So we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Broadcom pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week at NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.